down in Texas, the governor, Republican Governor Greg Abbott, he has approved new powers letting Texas state police and law enforcement resources arrest the illegals who come into the U.S. over the U.S.-Mexico border into Texas. And this is likely to create quite a stir and go all the way up to the Supreme Court. You will no doubt, I am sure, recall what happened back in 2010. That Arizona law under the Biden administration. That was also when the border was seeming to be increasingly wide open. And what happened there? The Supreme Court effectively struck down the efforts by the state of Arizona to help enforce federal law. And it was the position of the Obama administration, if you were to go back and look at what happened there. The position of the Obama administration was, we don't want you helping us with the lawlessness and the violation of federal laws at our border. You stay out of this and let it continue to be anarchy down there. That was the Obama administration's de facto position on it. Don't get involved. It's up to us, meaning the federal government, the feds, to fail intentionally. Yes, to fail miserably, but to fail intentionally on securing the southern border. That's the whole point. It's nullification of immigration laws because they want this to transform the country in an electoral sense in their favor. And I'm already telling you, we're going to go back and play these clips in a little over hopefully we won't have a Democrat administration, but if we have a Democrat administration in a little over a year, I'll be saying, guys, remember when I was telling you they were going to have this whole pivot to amnesty? The pivot to amnesty is coming. It's going to happen if there's a Democrat term 2 here, whether it's Biden or Kamala or whatever. But this really shows you as well, or this will show you, I think, what they're doing in Texas, that the federal government, and this is important, the Biden executive branch and Mayorkas, head of DHS, and all the rest, they are lying to you. They are lying to your faces every time they say, we are going to deal with the border. We want a secure border. We want rule of law at the border. They're lying. Because Texas is saying, hey, okay, we're sending the reinforcements. You know, the cavalry's coming over the hill, so to speak. We're coming and we're gonna help you out. We're gonna make sure that the cartels don't have free reign. We're gonna deport people who are just trying to scam our system and come into the country by lying about credible fear, all the rest of it. And you know what the Biden administration is going to do here. Simultaneously, they will have Democrats in the Senate who are negotiating over a change to border and parole policies for illegals coming into the country. They're trying so hard to change the language, I might add. And some of you have been pointing this out. I know they want us to say migrant or undocumented. It used to be illegal alien. You rarely hear illegal alien anymore. They say people can't be illegal. I'm like, I think so. I think people's presence can be illegal. If someone breaks into my house in the middle of the night, they're an illegal visitor. They're not an undocumented visitor. They're illegal. And my house is not a good house to break into these days, I might add. Just saying. But here we are, faced with the reality of what the executive branch with a Democrat, or really a cabal of Democrats running it in the name of Joe Biden, what they will do versus what Democrats in the Congress, in order to try to keep their seats, in order to try to keep their Senate position, will say. Because the Obama administration will immediately, I mean, have they already done it? Actually, I'm checking right now to make sure. I mean, this is just happening. This is Senate bill. This is Texas Bill SB4. Biden administration is going to say that this is a unconstitutional interference with the federal government's prerogative of border enforcement. So what they're going to say is, sorry, Texas, we want you to stop helping us. Yeah, imagine that for a second, right? This is the Democrats. It's like we're all standing in front of a house that's on fire, and the federal government is the fire department. And the federal government is just watching as this thing burns down. I mean, barely doing anything. They got like one guy throwing a little pail of water. He's like, I don't know if this is going to do it, guys. And everyone else is like, oh, I guess it's going to burn to the ground. And Texas comes along, so just think about like a whole bunch of volunteers, whole bunch of guys in Stetsons and cowboy boots. We're trying to make this a fun analogy. And they've got hoses. They're ready to go. They're ready to help. And the fire department in this case is saying, no. Excuse me. We want this fire to stop, but we don't want your help. We're just going to watch it burn. That is what the Biden White House is about to do if they haven't already. And it shows you they are liars. They are liars. Going into an election year, they're going to present themselves as wanting a secure border. They're going to present themselves as people who care about the lawlessness, the anarchy, the tyranny. Doesn't matter. And what we will find is that is all false. Well, we already know that, but they will show us that is all entirely false. They don't want help. They want it the way it is. They just want to lie to you about that so that they can fool enough people who are swing voters or independent voters or whatever into saying, oh, gosh, I guess the Democrats want a secure border too. They do not. And what does a secure border even mean? I'll tell you, we can break down all of these terms. What is a secure border? Is a border secure if the Democrats are enforcing policies and laws that allow anyone to come into the country with even the most minor cursory background check? And they are effectively just, you ever been at like a nightclub where they're counting people off? They have like a little clicker, they count people. They do this at some parties and stuff too. If that's effectively what Border Patrol becomes, is that a secure border? No, what I want is people that do not have the legal immigration pathway into the country that they are using and have gone through the necessary steps and checks in that are not allowed in America. And if they get into America by some illegal means, they are kicked out of America. Remember, we're not saying throw them in prison for 20 years. We're not saying, ruin them or their families or anything else. It's just, if you arrive here from, I don't know, Thailand, if you arrive here from Ghana, if you arrive here from Bolivia or wherever, China, and you're not supposed to be here, we send you back to the country you came from. And then you are free to try to apply or get into the United States legally. That's what we're talking about. So when you're seeing a state like Texas try to take this action, if nothing else, it proves that the Democrats are lying on this. Here is, this is interesting to me too. Another component of this whole thing is that somehow illegals, if you listen to the overall Democrat propaganda, they make us wealthier. They do the jobs Americans won't do. They're more law-abiding. Illegals, not immigrants. Illegal immigrants are better than Americans, are better than all Americans. This is what Democrats say. This is they're all about to start Google, whatever. Yet when you send enough illegals to any of these cities, there are problems. Mayor Eric Adams has said this is a disaster for the city of New York, for example, in one of his more intelligent public statements. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago had a little bit of a meltdown over Texas sending illegals to his city. This is cut 5.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago. It's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
Wait a second. What do you mean, Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago? where are they supposed to go? Notice he goes, Chicago has problems. We have homeless shelters that are overrun. We have, violent crime. We have people looking for jobs. Where isn't that the case? Find me the part of America that has endless funds, nothing but free healthcare resources to give away, no crime on the streets, no housing crunch, no problems, no drug addiction. Oh, you mean that the illegals are certainly in the initial phase, in the initial years, going to be a massive burden on whatever community they end up in? This is the classic Democrat. Well, as long as it's not in my backyard, as long as it's not my problem. In fact, the favorite thing for a Democrat is to have something be another person's problem, but you get to take the credit for having the right position on it. More illegals is better. I want as many illegals as possible. Get off my block, illegals. That's what they do. They're doing it in New York. They're doing it in Chicago. They're doing it in LA. They're doing it all over the country. What, Texas is supposed to be? I mean, I've been down to McAllen. I've been down to some of these border towns. And they're not just like walking around throwing gold bars and cash at people saying, hey, lots of resources here to deal with. It's crazy. But those communities are supposed to be the ones that take in the initial financial hit. Why? It's the Democrat sanctuary city communities that want this. They should get it. They should get as many illegals as possible. And they should be thanking Governor Abbott. They should be thanking Governor DeSantis. They should be saying, this is great. The blessings upon us of countless illegals who have no legal right to be in the country, who are unlikely to be able to speak English or read or write perhaps in any language or contribute to an information-based economy. That is a blessing that this city needs more and more of. You can never get enough. That should be their position. And yet it isn't. They talk about disaster, financial strain, crowded emergency rooms, English as a second language instruction, crowding out math and basic reading in schools because of all the illegals who have showed up. But you're supposed to shut up and say this is great if it's in your community. And the Democrats are allowed to say they want more of this for everybody else, but they don't want to deal with it themselves. Find some other place to send these amazing illegals that everyone wants, except for the people that are getting them these days. Isn't that an interesting dichotomy? Isn't there something going on there? Something a bit strange in the mind of all of these individuals who proclaim they want this, and yet when they get it, they scream and they say, stop. Yeah, we're seeing exactly who the Democrat Party is on this. And I think it's good for the American people to know, at least. We can cast judgment on it. But just remember, look for the head fakes. Look for the false promises. Look for the Democrats changing all of a sudden what they've been doing for. They're going to start tacking to the center. It's a fraud. It's a mirage. They wanted the 7 million illegals in this country that have come in under Biden. They won't do anything as that number goes above 8 million. They will quietly celebrate it, and they will try to fool low information voters in swing states into saying, well, Democrats care about the border too. They do not.